So Asmund put out a video. It was not from his stream. He busted out the potato camera and the potato mic for this one. And anytime Asmongold does that, we should pay attention. So I think that's what we're going to start off with tonight. We're going to start off with Asmund's video. I suspect that he is talking about current events. So let me put. There we go. Okay. Yeah, well, Andrew either pissed or wants to basically talk seriously about something and not be joking around with it because it is a serious matter. So, I do think it has to do with the current censorship by the world governments. And I'm wondering if he's going to be putting more detail or complexity into it than we have already expressed. So that's why I want to see, because usually whenever we watch something about this, he might sometimes bring up something that has not been considered or has not been thought of. So I'm really curious. Yes, it's Dr. Pepper in the background. Focused here, right? Okay. Focus, my stray. All right, so let's see what Asmund has to say.
Hi guys, it's me again, and today I want to talk about my favorite topic, internet censorship. And you know what's really upsetting? The fact that every single other government in the world seems to have that in common with me. Every other government right now is making laws, rules, and regulations for what can and can't be on the internet. And there is a little phrase that my mom used to always tell me, and it used to be, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." But here's the thing. These people don't have good intentions. They say it's for the kids. Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, sure. You don't want to have kids on social media.
We've already talked about this. Do you need the closed caption? I can throw closed captioning up. Okay. Yeah, we've already talked about this. In no way, shape, or form do any of these governments that have instituted any of these laws give a flying fuck about the kids. The kids, they are just using as their shield for anyone that criticizes what they're doing. They're going to say, why must you criticize about this? Are you saying you hate children? This is all about the children, isn't it? Well, Honey Poo, I suspect that may come up. Right now he's talking about the government, specifically the UK. My guess is he's probably this pissed because of what Spotify is doing. Because for those of you that have come in and are unaware, Spotify now requires you to do that identification in the UK. So if you just want to listen to your Spotify account, like basically Spotify will deactivate your account. Spotify that you already paid for will deactivate your account, and you are forced to do that ID service in order to reactivate your account within 90 days. For Spotify, for music.
Having kids on social media is the reason why Twitter and Blue Sky are the cancerous platforms they are now.
I don't disagree, Victor. Do not disagree. Well, on that, Asmund may get in this, so I will just briefly say they're going after the VPNs next. UK has already put out a message from, I don't know if it was their prime minister or one of the MPs, that is saying, don't be a bad guy and use the VPN to circumnavigate these things. Do the right thing and just submit to the ID. Like the party wants you to. And the UK is going after VPNs next, and they're trying to ban VPNs in the UK. So VPNs are next to be basically verboten.
Yeah, you don't want to have kids looking at certain weird stuff. Very true. But let's be honest, the real reason why they're doing it is the same reason why YouTube removed dislikes. It's very simply because companies that are running advertising campaigns, pushing narratives and social agendas that aren't popular, and also governments that are doing the exact same thing, were upset and getting their feelings hurt because the people had the power of consensus.
Yes. And it's, as has been pointed out before, Hello, Nix. As has been pointed out before, you know when the dislike button got removed from YouTube? Do you know when they removed the dislike button? They removed the dislike button when we would try and get this correct because it's been a while since I heard about this. No, it wasn't Ghostbusters 2016. It was YouTube Rewind. It was when I believe it was Joe Biden made a speech that was on YouTube and it got disliked to fuck. People were disliking something that Joe Biden said that was broadcast on YouTube. It got disliked to oblivion. Strangely enough, like the next day or a couple days later, YouTube suddenly poofs the dislike button. Yeah, it wasn't Star Wars ratios. It was Joe Biden. Now, did Joe Biden ask to have it done? I don't think so. I don't believe that Joe Biden contacted Google or YouTube and said, get rid of the dislike button. But that's when YouTube got rid of the dislike button, is when Joe Biden made a speech or something. It got ratioed to oblivion on YouTube. And a day or two later, poof, the dislike button went away. So it's to please their court. So it's, you know, YouTube and these social medias do it to please either their corporate overlords or their you know, the corporations that YouTube is on their knees sucking off, or the politicians whom they also are on their knees begging to suck off. Z-Dog, that's because you probably have the extension. There are browser extensions you can get that will put the thumbs down button back in. You probably have one of those extensions.
The people had the power of assembly, and they would assemble on that little red line on the bottom of a video, and it would show everybody else that this is bullshit. How many times have you guys read it?
No, wait, no, I'm sorry. And I misspoke. My apologies. The dislike button's still there, but you can't see how many people have hit the dislike button. I misspoke. My apologies. Yeah, like and dislike is still there, but if you click on the dislike button, you cannot see how many people have disliked the video. That's what it was. They removed the dislike counts, is what they did.
And it would show everybody else that this is bullshit. How many times have you guys read an article and you thought to yourself, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever read in my entire life? And you scroll down to the comment section and the top comment says the exact thing that you think. And you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Well, guess what? How do you solve that problem if you're the company? Do you write better articles? Absolutely not.
Of course not.
No, of course not. You delete the comment section. And that's what they're trying to do with the entire internet.
Yep. That's been happening. I can speak to what's happening in Canada. But I know, like, on CBC, on the CBC News website, CBC News articles on the CBC website you used to be able to comment on it. A couple of years ago, CBC did away with the comments section for the vast majority of their articles, particularly if they were hot button items. Comment section, no longer available. Gone. You can't comment on it. And again, kind of like the BBC in the UK, the CBC is a government-run news agency. It is state media. So the government is saying, we don't want dissent to get out. We're going to remove the comment sections. And I'm guessing a lot of other quote-unquote news agencies across the world are doing the same fucking thing. They're removing the comment sections so that way the populace is in the blind about other people that are either calling bullshit on the article and others that are agreeing with the people calling bullshit, so they don't see that, okay, I'm not alone in thinking this. I'm not crazy in thinking that this is wrong. There are others that also are actually able to see what I'm seeing and can even spell it out in a much more refined and intellectual way.
internet. We used to have, back in the ancient days, in the ancient texts, every website used to begin with www, World Wide Web. And I think we're losing those first two W's, and I think that's a big fucking L. The fact is that we are going to be moving towards a world and a society where different internets are siloed off based off of region. This is our...
Yes. And I think it was Aspen that said this. I watched the video. It was his. Yeah. He's not wrong about this. We are going to we are starting to, it feels like we are starting to move to a point where internets will become regional. If you are in the US, you're only going to get internets, you're only going to be able to access stuff that is tangent to the United States. If you're in Canada, you can only get Canada stuff. If you're in the UK, you can only get UK stuff. If you're in Italy, you're only going to be able to get Italy stuff. Yeah, it's basically, Durant, you're right. It's like, they're following the Chinese model. No, Revan, not North Korean internet, because the North Koreans don't have internet. It's more of the Chinese model, where the Chinese wall off their internet, so the Chinese can't really see anything happening in the world beyond their own borders. Well, Klein, to my understanding, TikTok USA is going away. And there's apparently a new version of TikTok that is coming out that will be exclusive to the US, I believe. I thought I saw something saying TikTok as a whole is going away, but there's going to be a new TikTok that is strictly USA. So that's what we're going to start seeing, I think, with countries around the world. Is they are going to be compartmentalizing the regions and what can be viewed on the internet in those specific regions. It's, we're basically looking at a level of worldwide segregation that I don't think humanity has ever seen before. Like, even when humanity did not have the means of communication that we have today, back in, back in the days before even radio, and humanity was separated simply because they didn't have means to communicate. The only means of communicating was either by boat or by horseback, and actually traveling to those. We are looking at a level of potential global segregation that humanity has never experienced in its entire life. We will have this will be the first time in the history of humanity we may be potentially experiencing this level of global segregation. Think about that. We may possibly live through a time where the world chooses not to communicate with one another. That's a pretty fucking scary thought.
Already happening. Look at what happened with, for example, Twitch and South Korea. Now South Korean websites are pretty much unique, and they do their own thing by themselves. This, in my opinion, is just a precursor of what's going to happen all across at least the Western world. Now, whenever I have conversations about this, I'm having conversations about this from the context of an American, okay? We have more freedom of speech than many other people in the world. And so when I say something like, the reality is, I think that, and this is the truth, okay? You might not like this, you might not want to hear it, but if you're realistic and you take your fucking idealism cap off just for a second, you're going to realize this is true. We're going to have real ID on the internet. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You might not like it.
Yeah. I've been fucking saying this. Every time this issue has come up, I've been fucking saying this. I said this a day or two ago. The ID requirement just to access the internet is spreading like a fucking virus. This shit is spreading faster than COVID. Okay? The concept of governments requiring ID just to use the internet and the actual implementations of it is spreading faster than fucking COVID did. It's gone from the UK, it's gone to Australia. The stuff in the UK is already spread beyond its borders into the EU. YouTube is now going to be requiring ID if their AI deems that your account is not over 18. You've got governments in North America not just USA, not just Canada, fucking North America. They're saying, okay, now you're gonna need ID to access porn sites, and they're not gonna stop there. Anyone who thinks that any government is going to stop at requiring identification for porn or NSFW is a fucking idiot and living in dreamland. UK has already leapfrogged way the fuck over that. Okay? Within the first day of implementing this law, they jumped way the fuck over that line of it's to protect the kids from adult content. They went way the fuck over it. All the other governments are going to start doing it too. Every fucking one of them is. If you don't think that's not going to happen, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you really fucking cheap.
I don't necessarily like it, but it's going to happen. And it's not going to be in 20 years. It probably won't even be in 10 years. It'll probably be sooner than that. And I wouldn't be surprised if things keep going the way that I think they are, that it happens even sooner than that. We're having this happen with social media.
Oh, yeah. I'm calling it right now. Unless something major happens, you're going to have to do ID just to use the internet in Mechanus. You stole it from me. 2 years. At the rate they're going, unless something significant happens, to basically throw up a fucking wall in front of this and stop it dead in its tracks and then backtrack it all, which again, I don't think is going to happen. This will happen where worldwide, you will need identification. You will need to do an ID. You have to sign up for an ID company just to access the internet in 2 years. Worldwide. Just for you to go to anything on the internet. They will require it in 2 years. And remember, this is a third party, which, how the fuck can we trust? God knows we can't trust the fucking government, and we're just supposed to trust some third party that the government decided they're going to run the ID servers, which are already, attempting to be hacked. Again, I'm going to point that out. The ID servers, the companies running the ID software in the UK and Australia, the hackers are already working on breaking through. They're already working on breaking through and gobbling up all that fucking information, and they will get through. Make no fucking mistake. Hackers will get through because the ID software companies just painted the biggest fucking target on them out of the entire fucking planet. And it's going to subject all of us. The government's going to subject, your respective government is going to subject you to this within 2 years. And you're going to have to either register with an app. Maybe they'll have maybe there'll be a new requirement of you have to have a thumbprint ID scanner hooked up to your computer in order to use it. Who knows? But there is going to be there is going to be ID required just to use the internet on a daily basis in 2 years. And if you're not scared by that, you fucking should be.
You had Spotify, and you had YouTube too. And YouTube and Spotify are asking for your IDs now to make sure that you're not underage. And they have an AI checking system. So if you say it's lit or on God, you instantly get sent to YouTube Kids, which honestly, I kind of think that's doing everybody a favor, right? But the reality is that YouTube and Spotify shouldn't be the ones that are doing this. They should not be the ones handling your driver's licenses. They shouldn't be the ones handling your personal information. How'd that go with the T app, by the way? So in case anybody doesn't know, the T app was an app made for fat, ugly, middle-aged women to post pictures and henpeck men who didn't call them back after the first date because of the obvious reasons. And guess what happened?
Well, I mean, Midnight Average, hang on. I have to jump away from Asmin real quick to show you this. Midnight Average, or Midnight Event, this is why I posted this on YouTube. Or on, this is why I posted this on Twitter the other day. It's this is becoming more prescient all the fucking time. This fucking meme that I posted is becoming more prescient all the time. I posted this as a joke just because I was getting frustrated with hearing about all this. I didn't realize how true it might actually become. And yes, T got hacked. Although, from my understanding, the T app, their quote unquote hack, is not as big of a thing as it might sound. From what I understand, all of the data that the T app collected for their app was on like a publicly available website. So they didn't get the hack or the breach was not as huge as you might think. The people that made this app in no way, shape, or form properly secured the data that they collected from these women. Many of which were these women's driver's licenses, by the way. These women actually submitted their driver's licenses to utilize this app. And all of that is now out there. It's now out there on the internet that this person was on the T website, and Asmon has had a lot of fun clowning on them because all of the photo images of users that have been posted have all been overweight, ugly women ringing and screaming about men. So he's been having fun with that. Oh, one of them was their DOD ID? Oh, right. I'm betting she's fired. She gone.
Happened? Well, in the most pristine and pure version of karma possible, all of these women who had their information, were putting out their information to, basically like posting the public information of these men against or without their consent, had all of their public information and private information leaked completely to the public. And now you saw the pictures of all the people, and man, oh my God, like stereotypes exist sometimes for a reason. And so anyway, this happened, and I'm not going to say it's a hack because there was no security, there was nothing. The guy that was running this this app, apparently, I heard that after he gets done running this app, Sony's going to hire him for their privacy division. So that's pretty much where we're at now. And I don't want to have YouTube get hacked. I don't want to have Spotify get hacked. The reality is that we need some degree of...
Well, the fact is, YouTube accounts already get hacked. That's one of the biggest complaints, is that when YouTube implements this AI to check if you're 18 or not, people have already complained, wait a minute, you're going to have the AI scanning my YouTube account and nuking it if you think I'm under 18, but we have had so many reports of people getting their YouTube accounts hacked. And thus, the hacker can fuck things up for you and make it seem like you're underage, and thus you get regulated to kids, and then you have to submit your ID, or worse yet, you submit your ID and your account gets hacked, and then maybe the hacker that's gained access to your account, maybe they can, who fucking knows? So instead of YouTube fixing their security problem, where a boatload of people are able to get their accounts hacked, instead of addressing that, they're gonna implement a mandatory ID requirement if their brain dead, fucked up piece of shit couldn't work to save its life AI decides that your account is underage. Which again, I'm going to point out how badly is this gonna fuck content creators when the AI looks at a content creator that streams Minecraft and decides you're underage. Boom, to the kids section with you. Your channel is now gone unless you submit identification to prove that you are an adult. This will hit content creators. Make no fucking mistake. You're going to hear about this. Day one, you're going to hear content creators saying, YouTube just killed my account because it thinks I'm under 18.
Of authentication token, verification, or some sort of third-party thing that verifies that maybe you are an adult or you are an actual person, you are above this age, but it does not provide that information to the end user or the end company that's actually trying to verify this. We need a validation token system. And if we don't have this, and I know people might say, no, we're not going to have any of this, it's bad. You're going to get
Oh, yeah,
it, okay?
Fishy, I know, Fishy. Like, people are already speculating that when this system comes online, Saba's account's probably going to get nuked. That's what people are suspecting, is that as soon as YouTube brings this AI online, it's going to instantly go after Saba's account and nuke her account. So, We'll see.
And I know people might say, no, we're not going to have any of this. It's bad. Yeah, you're going to get it, okay? It's going to happen. You can get mad at me all you want, but just wait and see. So I think we need a validation system. We need a way that has actual accountability to make sure that people just don't get their shit leaked when one of these accounts or one of these websites gets leaked. Anything can get hacked, but I would much rather put my trust in some part of like third party like security system or something like that rather than a T app or something like that that's just basically outsourcing its security to squirrels. And so anyway, that's where that's not true. Squirrels are really good at hiding nuts. This person didn't even do that. But anyway, I was just thinking about this. The fact is that, yes, this is where things are going, and the internet is doing this. Why is this happening? It's not happening to protect the kids. It's happening to protect the people and the companies that are in power to make sure that narratives go unchallenged.
This is what I've been saying. This is exactly what I'm saying. That's why I call the UK's government the party and the law enforcement in the UK the figurement. Because they are consolidating their power so they can use it against the people. They can stop people from committing wrong thing. It's fucking fuck words are hard. Authoritarianism and totalitarianism to control the people. That's what this is. And people have tried to argue with me on this. Like, people have left comments in my fucking videos saying, oh, this isn't authoritarianism, or this isn't totalitarianism. Open a fucking dictionary, jack-offs. This is the definition of it. What this is happening right now, what is happening right now is the definition of the attempts to basically change the government to this level of government. This is authoritarianism and this is totalitarianism, where it is one government ruling over the people, controlling what they can do and controlling what they can think. That is the definition of what it is. And that's where we're going. UK has got a big head start on this. They have got a monster head start on this. But other modern Western countries are going to catch up really fucking fast. Because they're seeing how successful the UK government is in basically doing this to its people. They see that, they're going to go, well, shit, we can do that. So, it's going to happen. Like, this is the canary in the coal mine right now. In fact, the canary in the coal mine is just about dead. It's been screaming for so long. This is the klaxons are warning loudly. You choose to ignore them at your own peril. And another thing that I was thinking about earlier today. Why nobody caught on to this? Why didn't someone see what the UK was doing sooner and start sounding the siren about, holy shit, the UK is trying to do this. The UK is trying to become an authoritarian government. Why were the alarms not sounded sooner?
You know the old saying?
Hey, I don't want to get this up, pirate. They didn't get this. The siren was not called on this for one particular reason that I can think of. And that's because for the last 10 years, we have had so many people on the fucking left that have been screaming the word Nazi, screaming the word fascist, screaming the word authoritarian. God, I'm getting tongue twisted today. They've been screaming this shit for years at people that have simply disagreed with them and don't like the things that they like. They have been using those words and screaming them over and over and over again. And what have I been saying about people that have been doing that? What have I been saying from the very beginning about this? That they're spamming these words so much that they have lost all fucking meaning, that nobody fucking cares anymore, and those words have turned in, the power has been removed from these words, so that they're no longer words, they are a fucking comma. And anytime somebody has been screaming, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, because they didn't like a movie, people are just like, fuck it, the words don't mean anything anymore. And then all of a sudden, actual authoritarian and totalitarianism starts rearing its fucking head and everybody suddenly goes Pikachu surprise face. Because I would wager someone probably tried to say, I would imagine someone in the UK or someone in Australia probably did try and sound the alarm and tried to say that UK is trying to elicit power that will turn it into an authoritarian speech or authoritarian state or a fascism state or a totalitarianism state. They tried to sound the alarm on it, and nobody paid attention because these fucking DEI leftist woke pieces of fucking shit destroyed the words, so nobody cared about them anymore. And now because they destroyed the words, we're already on the precipice of papers, please. Who already at that precipice of having someone, having a fingerman walk up to you and say, papers, please. I was trying to warn about it since I started streaming. I've been uttering this call since I've started streaming that these people are taking the power away from these words, so when the real shit happens, we're not going to see it coming. We're not going to have the alarm. And that's exactly what fucking happened. Maybe it's time to start listening to the people who are going against the grain and saying the uncomfortable shit. Because maybe, just fucking maybe, we know what the fuck we're talking about. And now let me go back to what Pirate said. You know the old saying goes, what comes around, go around, so I'm wondering how far this will go, to the point where even people who is doing this will be forced to deal with it as well from their own doing or not. Well, Pirate, the chickens always come home to roost. They always do.
If you don't, the thing is, like, I don't even have to make a 1984 analogy because we can just make a 2020 analogy. Look at what happened with COVID. Do you even for a second think that's not what's happening? Of course it is. It's happening right in front of us because it just got done happening. And do you really think that all the people are like, the censorship game's up. Well, I guess it's time to go home and let's have everybody have freedom of speech now. No, they're planning their next method and their next move. And guess what? They just showed us our side of the board, their side of the board. This is what's happening right now. And I'm very concerned about this because I don't want to see the internet siloed away. I think that one of the best and most enriching things about the internet is the fact that everybody in the whole world can go on and talk with each other.
It's not, the concern shouldn't only be for the internet being siloed. That's not the only concern. It's one of the concerns. It's not the only concern. The other concern is that the internet is going to be used as a weapon against people. They're going to use this ID requirement. They're going to expand it to encompass all aspects of the internet, and they're going to use that to monitor the citizenry. They will be using it to monitor the citizenry for wrongthink, and the moment that wrongthink is committed, they release the fingerman on you. That's the next step. And if you don't think that's the next step, you're living in dreamland. Well, the spice rack eats to an even further degree. We're already seeing the beginnings of it in the UK. Where the fingerman gets sent out to citizens of the UK that basically talk about migrants on social media. They send the fingerman to their door to arrest them. Now it's going to be, if you do anything that is wrongthink in the eyes of the government, that's when you're gonna have a knock at your door. Like we are literally starting to head towards V for Vendetta. Like, V for Vendetta is bucking Nostradamus. You have that where the governments are basically using it as a user's manual on how to set up a totalitarian society. So it's not only siloed internets, it's how the governments are planning on using the internet to subjugate the people. Because that is coming.
basically. It's something that expands people's horizons. I think it both creates and also gets rid of xenophobia. And I think that the truth is that it gets rid of it a lot faster than it makes it. I think that if you can just talk to somebody from another country, from another place, you just have a straight up conversation with them. It's a lot easier than hearing what the media is trying to make you think this country is like. And I feel like there's been a lot of cultural understanding that the internet has created that weirdos and people that have agendas never like to acknowledge. I've been more enriched in my ability to understand the rest of the world because of the internet than anything else ever. And I would.
Hell yes. And Hasman's not alone in this. I'd say the vast majority of people have been able to gain a better understanding and enhance their knowledge of world events, different peoples of the world, histories of the world, science, technology, different philosophies. People, the internet has allowed for people to actually better themselves if used in a decent way and not spend time attacking someone else on the internet. If you use the internet to actually enrich yourself, it can make you a better person. And if what Asman is thinking, where it gets siloed off for his part of this, is you're gonna lose all that. So just using anime as an example. Anime has opened the door for people to want to learn about the Japanese and Japanese culture, to understand why characters in anime do the things that they do, because they don't necessarily behave the same as you would expect them to behave in other Western countries. Because of the internet, people have been able to understand the Japanese culture and understand why these characters behave they do and appreciate the way that the way they behave. If the internet gets siloed off, you won't have that anymore. You fucking won't have anime to begin with. You won't even have anime to begin with. You're going to have your little section of the planet and only be able to see what your government approves you to see. That's what Asman is talking about and the way that we may possibly be going.
I'd hate to see that not be an option for other people in the future, but it sure seems like things are going that way. I think the real problem here, by the way, isn't with companies doing this, okay? The companies are just pulling the trigger. You should look at the person who's loading the gun and who made the gun. And that person, that's the government. And so the fact is, in telling them to pull the trigger, the fact is that these companies are not doing this because they want to do it. They're doing it because they're afraid of not doing it.
Well, Shadows, to your point, I got something even scarier for you. It's not that people don't know how to use a physical book or library. If the government starts locking down countries with their internet and controlling the feed of information, you don't think book burning is next on the list? You don't think that government's going to step in and start pulling books en masse from libraries, saying, nope, this is too dangerous for the populace. It must be destroyed. And controlling the information that way? Book burning is a thing. It was a thing back in the 1940s. It's still being done today. What was it? Some schools have, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't some schools actually pulled To Kill a Mockingbird from their libraries? I'm reasonably sure that certain classic books that used to be taught in English class, To Kill a Mockingbird, that's the one that jumps out to me. I'm not sure what other Catcher in the Rye is. Yeah, they're literally pulling books from libraries today because they are quote unquote problematic. Yeah, Of Mice and Men, Huck Finn. Yeah. They're already trying to stop people from learning about history and cultural history in their own fucking country. They're trying to sanitize history because, for whatever reason, whether their excuse is, it's too intense of a subject matter for the kids to know about, which is bullshit, I will mind you. I will remind you, is bullshit to try and say, oh, the subject matters, it's talking about slavery and racism, and we don't want to expose the kids to that, which means you're doing the children a disservice and you're hurting them by not allowing them to know exactly what happened in your country and other countries' history. You're withholding knowledge, and thus you're trying to make them dumber. It's a deliberate attempt to make kids dumber so they're more malleable and so they can be crafted in your own DEI'd imagery and thus easier to control. So yeah, if everything gets siloed, guarantee you, even more books will get pulled because they need to control the spread of information. They need to control the populace. If any of you guys have seen the HBO special, the 5-episode special of Chernobyl, there's a particular scene in that stands out to me, where the Russian scientist who's part of the trio trying to figure out what happened with Chernobyl, she goes to a library, wants to check out several books for research on trying to figure out what happened to Chernobyl. And the librarian has to actually take the list of books to a gentleman in the back behind a door for permission to check out the books. And he brings it back with every fucking one of the books crossed off except for one of them. And this chief librarian just goes, she can have that one. And that's it. And that book in particular was defaced and an entire section ripped out of it to control information, to maintain state secrets. It's happened before. It can very easily fucking happen again.
Companies are not doing this because they want to do it. They're doing it because they're afraid of not doing it. So what we need to be more vigilant of and there needs to be more advocacy of is, number one, privacy laws. I think that if a judge issues a subpoena and a person is doing something and there's reasonable cause and there's evidence and everything, I think of course there.
Maybe World War III won't be between countries, but people versus governments.
It's entirely possible, Drac. I am not discounting that possibility. Where, I'll shift this slightly. So instead of World War III, there will be worldwide civil wars. I think it's entirely possible. I do. We're headed in that direction because the populaces have a breaking point. And we may be starting to rapidly approach that breaking point. And when everything goes sideways, it's going to be explosive.
Information should be turned over to the government. Like, duh. I mean, of course, that's the way anything is. That's the way it is now. But the truth is that I don't want to have the government that just has, they can just read what you're doing on the internet all of the time. And unfortunately, it seems like that's where we're at. And I understand if you've got nothing to, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Yeah, definitely. Well, what happens whenever they change what to hide? That's the issue, and I think that's where everybody else is at, too. I don't want to have my internet be controlled by the 20 most annoying Karens that are either in Collective Shout, that are in the T-app, or that are in Congress. Or I don't want to...
That shouldn't be the fear of having 20 Karens. The fear should be you don't want to have your information controlled by 20 power-hungry government officials. That should be the fear. Because power-hungry government officials won't read and say you're being immoral. Power-hungry officials will say you're committing wrongthink that could be a threat to our power. That person should go away. That's the kind of people that you'll be afraid of. No, not government Karens. Government dictators. Okay, Karens will and scream and say, I want to speak to your manager because I'm offended, blah, blah, blah. Those people are not the ones to truly be afraid of. The ones to be afraid of are the ones that are not loud and they're sitting there in the shadows watching and doing everything to maintain their power, even if it entails disappearing people for wrong think. Those are the people, it's the quiet ones that you need to be really afraid of. Because the loud Karens, they're broadcasting what they want. The quiet ones in the shadows, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they want. And that should scare the fuck out of you.
Have them controlled by the 20 most powerful companies that are basically pulling the strings for a lot of these types of regulations. I am very concerned about this, and I think that you should be too. I think there's an honest and genuine conversation to be had about which content is appropriate for children and which is not, and how social media should regulate itself and how social media should be regulated. But we are going a lot farther than that, and we're talking about the entire internet and websites wholesale. This is censorship. This is going to go too far. This is not for kids. This is for adults to prevent them from doing and saying things and organizing in ways that put the powers that are making these rules at risk. That's what's happening. And I understand I might sound like a crazy person, but after everything that happened during COVID, I can't see a single one of you guys disagreeing. And so anyway, while Real ID I think is inevitable, what isn't inevitable is the fact that these companies have to be the ones running it. They should not be the ones running it. I do not trust these companies. I don't trust the government either, but I don't trust the companies at all, and I just don't trust the government. And the fact is that, you know, like the government got rid of, at least in America, slavery in 1865. Private companies still have it right now. So I think that pretty much gives you...
Yeah. But the governments are perfectly okay with private companies still having, objectively speaking, slavery. The governments approve of it. And the companies are payrolling the governments. You can't trust it. That's exactly it. And that's where we are in a position where we are fucked in every direction. We can't trust the government to do it right. We can't trust private companies to do it right, because both of them are going to fuck you 10 ways to Tuesday. And, you know, if you agree with, okay, yeah, something should be done regarding, you know, making sure kids are safe from actual harmful content or keeping kids off social media because it's been proven to basically fuck their brains up, you're in a conundrum. Because the only way to do that, the only way to basically actually do something to benefit kids by keeping them off of porn, which again, I don't think is gonna do anything anyway, because kids have been watching porn from the age of 13 on up for generations. And the vast majority of them grew up to be just fine, upstanding citizens, and even great people of the country. Yeah. But if you know, you want to make the argument that kids should be off social media because it's fucking them up, sure, okay, but there's no good way to enforce it. At this stage, there is no good way to enforce it that you could consider trustworthy. That's why I said for generations, Klein, because yeah, young kids in their early teens were looking at porn before the internet was even a gleam. They've been doing it for absolute generations. And again, the vast majority of them grew up just fine. They didn't grow up to be fucked up sex maniacs who are running around raping women. That didn't happen, despite the fact that the government tried to claim that they would. Social media, you can objectively say, is fucking up kids and screwing up their brains and screwing up their attention spans. You can make a legitimate argument for that. The problem is, there is no good way to stymie that without it spiraling out of control. There's no good way to lock kids out of social media without that methodology turning into a Big Brother situation where the government uses that as the foot in the door to take control over everything. So I don't have an answer. Anybody that's looking to be like, what's your solution to it? I don't have one. I don't have the solution. The only potential solution I can think of is like what I was talking about, where when parents buy their sweet little darlings a new piece of computer tech or a new piece of phone tech, is that the parents set it up. They set it up that this is for a child. You lock things out and you put in protective measures so that the kids can't bypass it or reset the entire device without having like two-factor authentication or code or something like that. And the companies that are responsible for these parental controls continually update these parental controls to prevent kids from bypassing it. As of right now, that's the best solution I can think of to basically facilitate keeping kids off of dangerous websites, keeping kids off of social media while not violating people's privacy. It's not the best solution. I freely admit that. It's the only one that I can think of right now where you will not be forced to identify yourself for every time you want to go into a website and give the government the control that they can basically just take over what you can and cannot see on the internet. That's all I got.
A barometer on which one is better than the other, which one has a little bit more accountability, but again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So that's what I think we need to be looking at. We need to be looking at proactive, real ID implementations that do not actually put people's data at risk by the company being able to have that data on hand. You saw that with the T-app. And again, I know there's going to be people that are against me on this because you're going to say, well, I don't want to have this at all. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Unfortunately, he's right.
I cannot see a universe where it doesn't happen. If you drive around with a car, you've got to have a license plate. You've got to present ID with 1,000 other things in the world. Do you really think that we're going to live in a world where the internet stays like it was in 2007 forever? Of course not. And I'm worried about that because there are some great things about that. There were some not so great things, but I'll be honest, the people that are trying to control to get rid of the not so great things, they're also doing that as a massive Trojan horse to censor and control discourse on the internet and to have a effective lever that they can pull in the future if they need to shut down a certain type of conversation. You're already seeing this in the UK, which right now is one of the worst Western offenders. And I think that entire ideology is going to be exported to the rest of the West and the rest of the world, as it already has been in some places. Like
that's what I've been saying. That's why I was saying that what the UK is doing in its entirety is spreading like a virus worse than COVID. It is. There's no denying it. You cannot deny it.
China. And so I don't want to see that happen. And I wanted to make this video and spread awareness and let you guys know what's going on. I'm busy today. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I wanted to make a quick video and talk about this. Be vigilant, be proactive, and don't let these companies try to take all of your information. Again, information and some degree of verification is, I think, inevitable, but it certainly shouldn't be coming from these private companies because they are the easiest ones to hack. And if you don't believe me, look at Sony. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. I really want to hear what everybody thinks in the comments. I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation for the next, unfortunately, 5 to 10 years. And it is a losing battle, but I would rather lose in a way to where we don't lose complete anonymity. And, at least unless the government orders it or a fucking judge orders it, right? And so anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I think. And that's where we're at. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Peace.
Yeah.
For what you said earlier, it's not that no one didn't ring the bell on this issue. They have even on YouTube for over a decade, but they were either shadow banned or nuked off of the platform. The people complaining now called them conspiracy theorists.
Yes. And, Rebin, that's partially what I was talking about, where people were trying to send up the siren call for them, and they were ignored. Possibly before they got shadow banned or nuked. They were ignored before they were silenced because of the way certain groups were basically severely watering down what they were, watering down the language that they were trying to use to bring this to people's attention. Phew. I do think Asmon's right, though. There is no stopping this. There isn't. As heartbreaking as it sounds, this is coming, and it's not going to be stopped. It's going, because even if the government is somehow stopped, by, you know, the legislative process, and you get some congressmen or senators that actually like stand up for their people and knock it down. Even if the government is stopped, you don't think the government is going to talk to the companies and say, okay, we can't do this legally, but you're a private company, so we want you to do this as a private company. And no one can say boo about it. That's why YouTube's doing it. This is why, you know, this is why YouTube is instituting this. So I'm not saying stop fighting. I'm not. Good night, Coyote. I'm not saying that we should just give up. That is not what I'm saying. It's more of hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. That's what I'm saying. Is yes, keep fighting. Yes, keep letting your representatives know you don't want this to go this way. This is going to be dangerous. This is going to turn into authoritarianism, and we don't want that. Put the kibosh on that. Keep doing that. Keep fighting, but be prepared for the worst in the end. That's all that we can do. I know it's a downer. I'm sorry it's a downer, but it's the world that we live in now.